In this video, we add up my overall earnings for stock photography and video in 2021. Then I'm going to go over kind of a quick recap of my thoughts from what I learned in 2021. And then finally, we're going to talk about some of my goals for 2022. If you're new here, I'm Joel. I'm a photographer and a filmmaker, and on this channel I try to share some of my experiences so that maybe you can learn from them or even just offer a little bit of inspiration. So give this video a like or even subscribe for more. So 2021 was my first full calendar year of doing kind of stock photography and video, and so by the end of it now I am at month 18 in this journey. I guess I'm talking in months like as if it's a small child, but I guess in a way it is. I ended 2021 with images and videos on 14 different agencies and marketplaces. It's worth noting though that the first 4 months of 2021, I was only on 4 different agencies with an average portfolio of somewhere around 300 images. And I had no videos up at that time. But since April, I've added 9 different agencies and marketplaces. Over just a couple months actually, I've had a kind of a right in the middle of the year, I just threw a whole bunch of stuff out there. And I was really focusing on trying to get those newly added agencies kind of caught up with the same images that I had on the other sites already. What was my portfolio and what did it look like here at the end of 2021? So if you don't count Fine Art America or iStock, where I think I have maybe 70 images on Fine Art America and only 12 images on iStock. So if you don't count those, here's what it looks like. Images wise, I had 573 on average across each of my different stock agencies or platforms. And I had an average of 69 videos across all of those as well. So overall, I ended up adding about 180 new images and 69 videos on average across all of the different agencies by the end of the year. It does vary a little bit across them all because like some agencies like Eyeem, I've got like over 800 images, where other agencies like Canva, I only have like maybe 200 images. So you get, there's a little wiggle room in there, but the same goes with videos. Like I've got over 100 videos on, I think it's Dreams Time, Pond 5, and DepositPhotos, but like only 14 that have been accepted on Video Hive. My total earnings for 2021 was $274.52, and that was with 419 downloads. My best-selling image was of the St. Pete Pier, which you may already know that if you watched my best-selling images video that I just did, but it sold 17 times and it earned me $18.24. And my best-selling video, or well, my only video that I sold last year, was this one here, and this was actually I shot with my Osmo, my DJI Osmo, and when we were driving around in Puerto Rico, and it sold it for 28 bucks. And if you think about it, that one video represents 10% of my total earnings for the entire year. So give you a clue as to why I'm kind of doubling down on video. So this is something that I keep seeing with other stock photographers who share their sales information. Usually the top 20 to 30% of their earnings come from just a small portion of their total portfolios. This is correspondingly similar to the 80-20 rule, which basically says that 80% of your outcomes, or in this case earnings, will come from 20% of causes, or in this case your sales. Something to think about. So now if we look at like how much I earned on average for all of the different downloads, you'll find that my revenue per download, or RDP, ended up being 66 cents. Now if you want to look across my entire portfolio, average revenue for all the images and videos that I uploaded was 48 cents per asset. So in other words, I earned 48 cents for every image or video that I submitted to my portfolio in 2021. So how does that compare with your earnings? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if your portfolio is a little bit more skewed to the image side of things or the video side of things too. Now, considering that I've only uploaded videos just the last half of the year, and my videos only make up like, I think maybe 16% of my portfolio, on average, I'm not really surprised that my video sales are lower, since it's something I've just started to get into. Like I mentioned in this video up here, my first year of stock photography, like earnings and tips, some of the biggest stock photography lessons I learned in 2021 were the following. The first one was like learning what makes a good stock image. And we're talking about composition, we're talking about quality level, subject matter, or even just like what I failed to do, which is understanding that, you know, not limiting yourself to just commercial images, but also making sure you do some editorial images as well. Another thing that I learned in 2021, and I'm continuing to learn, is trying to figure out like what are the quality levels that, you know, each agency wants to see. So some of them are like really super critical, give you like all these things saying like noise, pixelation, or even just the fact that the image is like framed using the rule of thirds. They don't like it. They just want it right smack dab right in the screen. So that's kind of hard to get used to, but some agencies are more critical about that and others aren't. So that's another big one that I've learned. So I generally just don't get as worried if they don't get accepted. Another thing was just like focusing on my workflow, trying to find some tools that can help me manage and upload my images to like multiple platforms all at one time. So for me, like a couple of those, you know, I use Stock Submitter Plus is the tool that I use to help do that, but there's other ones out there like XPix, I think, and maybe Stock Studio or something, I can't remember, but there's a few other ones out there, or even a site like iStock as well. Some of those actually have other aspects to them as well, not just helping you distribute a bunch of images out, but also help you with keywording and writing descriptions, stuff like that, which is actually really helpful because that's like my least favorite thing to do, and it is the most time-consuming thing for me. But ultimately, I think the lesson I learned was really just trying to balance my time, right? So making sure that I'm not spending too much time on one side of the equation, whether it be editing or keywording or uploading. With that is to think of your time as an investment in the future. You're essentially, you know, the time you spend now to get these images uploaded, you know, has a cost, but it's also an investment because once it's up there, it returns over and over again. I think overall I've probably made some pretty good strides with most of those things, but you know, I'm still trying to improve my process. And I think if you ask somebody who's been doing this for a long time, they'll tell you the same thing. But the main thing is really to improve these things so that you can keep it as mostly passive as possible. I mean, it's not entirely passive, obviously, but the more streamlined you can get it, then the more it's going to pay off later on down the road in dividends. All right, so let's talk about my goals for 2022. They're actually pretty simple. The first one being, I basically plan on spending the first 6 months of the year trying to finish up that back catalog of images that I've got. I mean, we're talking like 10 years back in some cases. What I'm doing with those to try to streamline things is to they're all pretty much all images, but I'm trying to get them edited and then I'm putting them all on iStock. For two things. One is because I'm doing an experiment to see just how well I like iStock, since it promises to like make your uploading faster and take care of keywording and descriptions for you, which again is a huge thing that I'm looking at. Because remember, we're talking about streamlining, so that's what I'm trying to focus on, is how I can get this stuff up there as quick as I can. My second goal is to try to begin editing my shoots, whether they be stills or videos, like way sooner. Like right now, it's taking me forever to get to some of this stuff. I mean, as we talked about, some of my images I haven't even touched in years, but some of the more recent stuff, it maybe takes me a couple months before I actually get a chance to sit down, look through everything and start editing. I'd like to streamline that because I need to be able to get more images up a lot sooner, especially my newer images and my newer videos. Mostly because a lot of the stuff I'm going to be focusing on is more like kind of editorial things, which do have a little bit more of a time component to them. The third goal is that I actually plan on doing a lot of traveling in 2022 with my other channel, which is Wandering Hearts. Now, since the bulk of my images are travel related and they come from my travels, I expect to create a lot of images and videos in the second half of the year, and I'm really hoping to try to have my workflow figured out so I can just kind of get it nice and tight so I can just go ahead and get that stuff done and out there in a real timely manner. Fourth thing I want to do, and I've already mentioned this, but basically doubling down on video. I really want to grow my video assets, especially for the bulk of my new uploads in 2022. Like I said, I'm going to try to put like some of my older stuff up on iStock, and then my newer things I'll probably submit through my stock submitter app and do it the way I've been doing it. But I'm going to push most of that into like really try to focus on the majority of that being like video clips. In fact, I'd like to get my video portfolio up to over 500 images on average across all the agencies if I can. So my fifth and final goal for the year is basically to get my sales up. I'd like to get my monthly earnings over $100, and I'd love to see my year-end sales well over $1,000. And I think it's actually possible, especially with video sales. If I can get just a couple of those sales like I got, last year, that Puerto Rico video, if I can just get a couple of those $28 sales every month, then that's a huge way towards making that goal a reality. So now I want to know, what are some of your goals for 2022, and what are some of the obstacles that you're trying to overcome as well? Let me know in the comments below. I hope this provides some insights and even some inspiration that can help you develop your own income stream with stock photography and video. Well, thanks for watching, and you can follow along on my socials or right here on my YouTube channel. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely check back in here for some more videos about my earnings videos, more stock photography, as well as some of the other stuff that I do too, some behind the scenes, my producing, and all that good stuff. And of course, if you're just starting your journey with stock photography and you find any of this free information helpful, then I ask that you use some of my links in the description below. It won't cost you anything, and it's a nice, easy way to say thanks. Cheers, and have a good 2022. You can also buy me a beer.